Feel it in my bones, I can feel it in my veins. Hands in the sky, I can feel the winds of change. You live and you learn, and I hope I've seen enough to make something right, and make up for what I've lost. I was down, but things are looking up. I wanna get high on you, caught by surprise by you. Want you to make my heart feel as much as I know it should. I was down, but things are looking up. I wanna get high on you, caught by surprise by you. Want you to make my heart feel as much as I know it should. I wanna get high on you, caught by surprise by you. Want you to make my heart feel as much as I know it should.
Place your eggs in a bowl and beat them harder than a 40-year-old virgin. Add your cheese and spring onions to the mix. And then you want to add your dry ingredients and mix that in together as well. This is the consistency that you are looking for. Now you want to place a pan on the stove, turn the heat on and heat up some oil in it. Once your oil is hot but not super hot, chuck your mix in and just let it cook nice and slow. Once one side has got some nice colour on it and you can flip it, do exactly that and do the other side. Once both sides are cooked and the inside is done, put it somewhere where it's no longer going to cook. Place your meat of choice on your chopping board. Cut it in half if you need to. Beat your meat to flatten and tenderize. Find a private location if required for this task. Then you'll need to set up a crumbing or a pane station to put your meat of choice in, ready to then perform the cooking process. This is the end result of what it should look like. At this point, it's time for cooking, either in a deep fryer or a fry pan or even the oven, anything that will provide a nice colour and good consistent heat. Whilst your Milanesa and chips are cooking, prepare your veg. Once your chicken is almost cooked, add your potatoes or your chips at your discretion to the cooking process. If you are cooking yours with oil, make sure to drain both the chicken and the potatoes/chips on paper towel and season. Place all your ingredients in the tortilla, starting with your veggies, specifically your lettuce, and building upwards from there. Place all your Paraguayan crema ingredients into a cold pan and then mix together until it looks something similar to this. Then place the pan on the heat, stirring at a low to medium until it thickens. Your final consistency should look something like this. You don't want to take it too far because you don't want to end up with scrambled egg taste. Place the custard mixture into ramekins or small bowls and place in the fridge to set. Whilst you're waiting for the crema to set, place all your cocktail ingredients in a blender and pulse a couple of times until combined. Once combined, place in a glass of your choice. You can strain it if you would like to. G'day, ladies and gentlemen, legends of the highest regard, and of course hang on a sec. And dirtiest of slews, and welcome to Cooking on the Fly number 5. So, not much else to say other than we are going from our grass strip here in ESQUINA in Argentina.
I like
we're
to do to
heading
her.
up to ASUNCION.
Something I call it dirty fuzzy.
And in ASUNCION we are going, well, that's Paraguay. There's no other way I can word it. ASUNCION is Paraguay. So, hence the Paraguayan or Paraguayan or Paraguayan or whatever it would be theme of this evening's cook. If you feel like I am sitting incredibly close to the computer, it's because I am, because there is definitely a space issue in this room as well. And wanted to make sure that the preview recipe summary worked, so thank you very much for being patient with all of that, as well as the delay on the stream. I very nearly told Microsoft to go screw themselves at one point after I spent, you know, a good portion of the last week making sure that all cameras and everything would work, and they did. And then when I went to run them all together, they didn't, because why not? So unfortunately we weren't going to be operating with 2 cameras this evening. We were meant to be operating with 4. Thank you very much, Windows. Turns out that Windows only allows 1 camera per USB serial bus thing. So basically, if you want to run any more than 2 webcams and you only have a motherboard and the front USB ports on your computer, like any normal person, you're going to have to buy some extra USB serial bus, which I understand USB serial bus stands for Universal Serial Bus. I don't know why I'm adding the extra, but I am. So let's just go with it. But you need the extra things that go into the slots in the motherboard to create extra USB slots that is separate from the ones that it's just talk about fucking stupid. But anyway, that's Microsoft Windows for you. So cool. Hubs. Thank you, Brent. But they've got to be hubs that are actually in the computer as opposed to powered hubs, because powered hubs are still running off the current USB hubs that are in the PC. Anyway, now that I know that, thank you. You know, it's always fun that they don't tell you that until you literally spend hours Googling why my 4 webcams won't work, and eventually somebody goes, oh yeah, Windows only supports 1 webcam per hub. And I was like, are you serious? Like, the information is very slimly available on the internet. So, the things you learn. Alright, so we are here on the runway. We're all set up, ready to go, ready to fly. Everything's sorted, autopilot's all done. So, literally, what I'm going to do is take off. I mean, there's no other way to put it. I am going to take off, and then we're going to obviously head up to our cruising altitude, throw in autopilot, and then I'll quickly disappear and I'll make myself look all professional, and which, you know, is pretty difficult, but anyway. And we will return and we will start actually cooking. So despite the order that I obviously did the preview recipe video in, the first thing that we are going to in fact be doing this evening is of course the custard, because we want that to be set by the time we go to consume it at a later point in the stream. If I make it as the last thing, we screwed. So without further ado, let's take off, do some actual flying, all the above. All right. Let's go. Why is my sim jerky as anything? What the hell is going on there? I don't know if it's transferring across to the video that you guys are receiving, but right now, for a moment there, my FPS was shit. Really shit. Yeah, I don't know what the MSA is there going, but looks like Sean says 2,000. Alright, that. And voila, up with the flaps. Go to the exterior view. Now we've got Wes up there in his Trinidad, but not his Tobago. As we depart here from ESQUINA. So it's not going to be a very long climb because we have chosen only 3,000 feet as our cruise altitude, and we are halfway there already. So not long now, basically, until I start cooking, is what I'm trying to say. And we may need to play with a few things here and there with the webcam positioning as well, especially with the second camera that you can probably see chilling out the background there on the tripod. Dave, you wish I would film a porno. You wish that you were lead role as well. Alright, so as we come up to our altitude, let's pull some power out of that engine. There we go. Get a nice cruise power occurring. And on that note, I am now going to get up from where I am. I'm going to get myself into the gear. Move the chair out of the way, etc. And then I will appear again in a couple of minutes.
You know what I like to do to her? Something I call a dirty fuzzy.
That's better. Maybe a little bit too high up actually. Now I can't see the face. Now I don't usually play with this webcam, so I don't know how it got altered, to be honest with you. Yeah, that's good enough for me. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I just realised I didn't actually say hi to all of you individually, so I do apologise for that. Windows kind of screwed with my head for the last 4 hours whilst I was trying to figure out why on earth my cameras wouldn't work. At one point I couldn't even get 2 cameras to work, so there you go. Alright, so first on the list is to make the Paraguayan crema, which is the custard, and that is with the cinnamon. So obviously, like, I couldn't get macro keys to work with Streamlabs. Supposedly there's a workaround. By the time I spent 4 hours trying to get webcams to work, there was no time to make macros work with Streamlabs. I just assumed, stupidly, that it would be simple as using the Logitech G Hub software to set it up, like one would usually when setting up macros. Turns out that's not the case. Streamlabs is not currently supported directly by the Logitech G Hub software, so fuck yeah. Anyway, enough complaining about technology. In case it wasn't obvious, when it comes to hardware, I'm good. When it comes to software, not my forte in any way, shape or form. So, yeah. Right, I need to focus on what we're doing. So, we are making the Paraguayan crema. To do this, what we first need to do is we need to take a pot. I'm making sure that I try and get it so that it doesn't hide behind the sim when I do these stupid and unnecessary movements like so. Just because, I don't know, potentially entertaining, whatever. And Mr. Oz Flight Simmer has jumped in and he has dropped in a donation. What an absolute legend this man is. G'day Shane as well, welcome to the stream and thank you so much for the continuous support of the channel. It is greatly appreciated there, mate. Alright, now let's try to remove this chopping board from under here without creating... Yep, that was nice and smooth. Well done, Bryce. That was better than I expected it to go. Alright. Yes, Sean, I have found out that G-Hub is a complete and utter nightmare in every way, shape and form. Whether it be the steering wheel or the keyboard, it, yeah, drives me up the wall. But, yeah, you know, I don't know what's any better. Anyway, right, so I just need to make sure that I have all my measurements here off of my short list all correct, which I do. So basically we are just going to chuck everything that we need into this pot. And then what I'll do, which is going to involve me having to unfortunately walk around and click the mouse, is utilize the second camera, seeing as I put it there. Freaking hell. And Wes with the donation as well. Wes, thank you so much, bro, for the continued support of the channel. It means a lot. Where's Star? Do you think you're getting fed already? I mean, I haven't even started cooking anything. She's already giving me the eyes, like food? It's time for food? Yes. Food is what I can receive at this point? Yes. Alright, so I need that. I need my cups, which I have here. So, we are going to do the milk. So that is going to, well, I can't actually really call this milk, can I? Because it's oat milk. So, you know, as I keep coming back to, the lactose intolerance is a thing, so oat milk is my only choice. Star, if you stand there, you're going to be absolutely stood on. And I don't want to do that. So we need to do 2 cups of the milk of your choice, basically. One. And 12. I don't know why I'm saying that in French. I am, so. Cool. Alright, so it's 2 of that. And then I need to grab my eggs. I want to make sure I use the packet that I've started before I use the one that I haven't started. And what we are going to do is we are going to put 2 eggs straight in. As they are, because we're going to mix this all together, utilising, well, not for the whole cooking process, but before we put it on for cooking, we're going to whisk it together with a whisk, which will obviously break up the eggs, break up all the other bits and pieces, etc., etc. It's going to take longer to cook, and that means longer until you get a snack. The same. By the process of deduction. And Blackadder with the donation as well. Thank you so much, Blackadder. Now, don't forget, guys, that tonight, 25% of all donations is going to the Movember charity. So, yeah. Okay. I really should have just, I mean, I should know this, I've already made it, but I guess it's the thing of being live on camera. I want to make sure that I'm not making any errors. So, our 2 cups of milk and 2 eggs, we want to put in 2 tablespoons of corn flour. Where did I put the corn flour? That's what I put. I'm really going to use that. Alright, grab a tablespoon. 1, 2, like so. So at the moment, as you can see, it's 2 cups, 2 eggs, 2 tablespoons. And then I'm going to put 4 tablespoons of sugar. I'm going to zest a lemon, and then I'm going to put the cinnamon. I need more bench space to keep doing this. So, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you'd say, yeah, so the zest of 1 lemon, and then it says, my recipe that I did up says 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Honestly, only if you really like cinnamon. Otherwise, cut it down. I'm just going to sort of go by eye here on the stream when I do that, simply because trying to actually put, you know, half a tablespoon or a tablespoon of cinnamon is just going to create, yeah. Black Evo, there's a list in the Discord. There has been for about 3 weeks. Alright, so zest, now this is a very large lemon when I say zest of 1 lemon, so if you are not using a completely hugely massive over the top in proportion size lemon, maybe 1.5, possibly 2 would be worthwhile looking at doing.
Yeah, I'm fine.
It's alright, Black Evo. I just felt like the smart-ass-ish, sarcastic style response was probably the best one, and I knew you'd take it as a joke anyway, so. Alright, so just make sure that that is completely de-zested, which it is. Now, I think we're using the lemon at a latter point, so I'm just going to keep that lemon there for the moment until I know where exactly we're at. And now I'm just going to sort of try and, you know, do half a tablespoon of cinnamon, which I think that probably qualifies as half a tablespoon of cinnamon. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to place the pot just over there, and alright, so now from the secondary viewpoint, as you can see, basically, in fact, you know what? I can move this camera. That is the awesome thing about this camera. Now you can actually see what I'm up to in the pot there. So I'm now going to whisk that together, and then I'll show you again what that looks like. Hello. And it should look better than the preview one that I did. Simply because when I was doing the preview one, I may have forgot about the fact that a whisk existed. So yeah, you know. So what I might actually try and do here is try and possibly have this secondary camera permanent. So just give me 2 seconds and let's see if we can make both cameras a thing. We can.
You know what Daddy likes.
The only problem I'm going to have is probably going to block my head. I'm just such a good sure. Let's do that. Alright, so now I can show you everything from both directions. There's a sentence that sounds messed up. So there we go. Why didn't I think of that before? Don't know. Anyway, right. Let's, so I don't know. Have a look in the pot. As you can see, probably looks a lot better than the one that I did in the preview. Right. Assuming that's in a good position, it is. Oh yes, now one more thing I need to make sure I have turned on, and I think I have it turned on, but I just want to make sure before I go any further. It's the other microphone. We have a second microphone that's over here, so you guys can enjoy the sounds of what is cooking as well. Right, so we want to do a relatively low heat on this one, so I'm going to go just with 1,000 watts at this point, and I'm also going to use the whisk a little bit more, just until the temperature comes up a bit and the corn flour starts to break down a bit more, etc. And then
I like to do to her something I call it dirty
I'll
fuzzy.
obviously swap over to a spatula or a wooden spoon like you're meant to, which will then help us to achieve the correct consistency, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. So the good thing is now that I can now talk to you from this camera, even though I've got my back to you. We have the technology. And then all we're going to do once this has come up to its correct temperature, correct consistency, correct thickness, correct taste, because you obviously want to taste it before you go popping into the ramekins, just in case, you know, depending on your particular sugar or flour or milk that you use, it can obviously alter the flavour. Cow's milk tastes different to oat milk, which tastes different to almond milk, which tastes different to lactose free, which tastes different to soy, etc., kind of thing. So it's important to always taste, as well as the fact that some of you may have different lemons, the zest may have different intensity. Your eggs can obviously change the flavour as well. You know, using cage eggs and or barn laid is obviously going to potentially create a different flavour to using free range. And the type of sugar you use as well. If you use really cheap white sugar from the shops, you're obviously going to probably need to use more sugar to achieve the same end result as somebody who used a, you know, high quality caster sugar or whatever. And that doesn't matter, because it all comes down to cooking within your skills and cooking within your budget of what you have. And that's why I like to always make sure that I detail these things when I am cooking these dishes, just so that nobody sort of feels like they might be left out of the whole cooking process, I guess. Right, so that seems nice and smooth now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change our implement, and we are going to go across to the trusty wooden spoon. Basically, a nice gentle. So the best tip I can give you when
You surprise me to how shit you are.
Where your eggs are scrambled, because then once your custard is set, it's going to taste like cold scrambled eggs. So you just want to heat it really slowly, keep it moving, make sure that the wooden spoon is moving, or whatever implement you're using is moving to all various sides of the pot that you are heating. Do not be scared to cook it at a low temperature and be standing here for 15 or 20 minutes, because the end result is going to be a lot better than if you try and blast it with heat until it comes up to the correct consistency.
Give me the card, friend.
Because what you'll find is, as it sits as well, if you've blasted it, it's going to have a lot of residual leftover heat in it, and as it sits, it will keep cooking, and you're still potentially going to risk scrambling your eggs. Whereas by doing it this way, because you've heated everything evenly and gradually to the temperature that you want it to be, you still do have that risk, but it is much, much, much lower because everything in the pot is at the same temperature. There's not hot spots, there's not cold spots, there's not superheated areas, etc. that can potentially screw your mix. And the last thing you want is a custard that tastes like egg. Because if I wanted a custard that tasted like egg, I'd make an omelette or scrambled eggs, So this is starting to smell very cinnamony, very lemony. It's really quite pleasant, actually. I have my sous chef. She's sitting here looking at me like, for me. Well, maybe you can lick the spoon once it's all set, okay? But for the moment, I feel like maybe it's time for a treat, little miss. So there we go. Give her some chicken liver flavoured micro bones. Now, the only problem with this part is I can't actually see what you guys saying in the chat. Turn it on. It is 100% on, David. According to Streamlabs, that microphone is on. Are you telling me that Streamlabs is bullshitting me? Or is Windows screwing me on that one as well? hear that? Can you hear me tapping on the microphone? Can't hear me well. Okay. That's very weird because the microphone is literally just here. Can't hear tapping. Right, so can you hear me? Yeah, you are louder when facing screen. Yeah. So I don't know why that microphone isn't working, because it was working when I ran tests, and according to Streamlabs, it's receiving the audio. So, yeah. Don't know what the hell's going on. So what I'm doing, anyway, what I'm doing right now is I'm just, now that I've removed it from the heat, I'm keeping the mixture moving just to avoid any lumps from potentially forming, and obviously to allow it to cool down quicker. So because there's no heat being applied anymore, I'm basically aerating it. Alright, okay. Alright, so basically that means that whenever I'm cooking over there, I'm just going to make sure I turn around, and then I will go from there. Yes, Tony, it's absolutely
Oh my God,
switched on,
leave it! Just fucking leave it!
And it says that it's receiving audio and all those things, so... Alright, so I'm going to wander over to the other camera now. Whoop, that's a deep fryer that I don't want to send like that. And as you can see, it's come together. Now, for safety purposes, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to strain this through a strainer. So I'm just going to quickly run and grab that, which I realised I forgot to do. Simply because when I did do the tester, I found that it just needed to be strained through a sieve, because you will still get a couple of lumps here and there, especially if you're not using a dairy milk, because the temperatures that things happen at are slightly different. So just give me 2 seconds there. Might be receiving it, but it's not pushing it out to the screen. Yeah, possibly. 2 seconds. Alright, so now grab one of our big bowls, and this bowl is very much over the top and excessive for what we want to achieve. However, it's what I have, so that's what's being used. So I'm going to just tap that, pop that in my cleaning thingamajiggo that I've got. And then what we're going to simply do is we're going to just pour this straight into the sieve. And you shouldn't actually lose any liquid as such by doing this. Simply all you're going to alter is it's going to give you the opportunity to push out any lumps that may actually have formed. And of course you don't really want to have a lumpy dessert. So doing this means that you're not going to end up with any lumps. It also means that any zest that you don't necessarily want to have in your custard is obviously going to be stopped by the sieve. And basically that's all you should have left in your sieve at the end is just your lemon zest. And do make sure that you work that as much as you possibly can, because any of the lemon oils and the citrus oils that may still be present will obviously transfer into the last little bit of custard that is within the mixture that is still falling through the sieve. Okay, so that is that. And as you can see now, we have a wonderful, smooth mixture. So, quite simply now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this mixture, I'm going to pop it into the ramekins, and then those ramekins are just going straight into the fridge. And they should set or be close to set by the time we have finished cooking, cleaning, and eating the main course. And wow, that is really raining. Holy shit. It's a bit wet out there. Alright, where did I, oh, right here, in the open my eyes section. So, line them up, take our rinsed spatula. It didn't really need to be rinsed, but it has been, so there's nothing wrong with working with clean implements in a kitchen. And then literally we're just going to fill these probably somewhere between 2/3 and 3/4 of the way. Now, if you are a fan of things like creme brulee, which is obviously a French set custard dessert, you can actually do the same thing with this dessert, and that is sprinkle some sugar on top, get out your blowtorch, create a crust. That's absolutely something you can do. And another thing you can do is avoid, if you're going to do that, is avoid putting the cinnamon in the actual custard, and then you can make a cinnamon infused sugar and then put that over the top. Or you can reduce the amount of cinnamon that you put in your mix and utilize the rest in a sugar. Alright, so that is 4 of those done. So now I'm just going to take them to the fridge, get them all set up. I will show you some of the ones I made earlier in the week to give you an idea of what they will look like, just in case these don't set, but they should. Alright, so basically yeah. So that
You
gives
know
an
what
idea
Daddy
of
likes.
I pulled that up a little bit too far. There we go. So that gives you an idea of what we're going to be looking for once it's set. Now, if it doesn't get to that point this evening, that's not a problem, because we do have these ones from a couple of days ago when I was doing the testing, and I'll simply just use those instead, leave the other ones for a later point. So I'm just going to put the other ones in the fridge.
Oh, I like to do to her. Some might call it dirty fuzzy.
Paraguayan queso tortilla with spring onions. I'm just going to start sort of utilising it before things get completely out of hand. So, now I just need to move my notes to the tortilla side of things. Right, so we're going to grab another bowl. Like so, and into this bowl we're going to add the ingredients for the tortilla. So, first thing that we want to do is put in 2 eggs, and we want to beat that straight away. Nada, you really have to go out in that? I'm sleeping on my bed tonight. I don't really want to be sharing bed with a wet dog. Alright, so 1 egg. And a second egg, like so. Just in my hand, a quick rinse. With the egginess, like that. Close that up, pop it back over here. Now what I'm going to do is hope that my little dishwashing station has cleaned up the whisk. It has. So basically we're just going to whisk that may have been a little bit over the top. My bad. Okay, so that's all we want to do with those eggs. To that, I want to add my grated cheese, and I want to add the sliced spring onions or scallions if you're an American, which I'm not. But I know a lot of you are, so I like to make sure that we are understanding each other. Right, so in this bag of lactose-free tasty cheese, I have exactly 160 grams of grated cheese. And this recipe calls for 160 grams of grated cheese. So, how about that? It's almost like it was made to go together, you know? We go together like shamalama. That's all I know without checking the lyrics online, so I do apologise for that. And then to that, I want to take one of my spring onions out of the bunch. Let's pick a good one. Like that one looks pretty fly for a white guy. Don't know if. Yeah, no, I'm not American, Drew. Not American. All right, so I just want to take off the hair, pop that in the composting thing, and I want to take off the very, very tip of the spring onion. The rest of it, I like to use. If you only like to use the harder part, well, that's fine. All good there on it. I just hate food waste, and the top part is all completely edible. So I figure, why not? And then if you're feeling fancy, obviously you can cut your spring onions very fine on an angle. If you're not feeling fancy, just cut your spring onions. In the end, they're just going into a dough mixture and then they're being cooked, so it's not going to be as if you're going to have a large amount of raw onion or anything like that to disrupt your day. Actually, was it one that I was meant to use? No, it was 2. I do apologise. I'm meant to be slicing 2 of those up. Good to know that I read my own notes and recipes. So we will do the same thing with this one. You take off the third little bit, because that's usually the bit that harbours all the dirt from the spring onion. And then, as I said, just at the bottom, And the only reason I usually take off the little bit at the top is because it's the thinnest part of the spring onion. That's the part that usually goes the most first, and it usually only takes as little as 24 hours sometimes for that to occur. So I just like to, you know, it's going into compost anyway, so whatever. And then I will bring the chopping board over to the second camera once I have finished slicing. Alright, so there you go. Nice, fine, relatively diagonally sliced spring onions. And put those into our bowl as well. Then what we want to do is we want to mix the egg with the cheese and the spring onions, so that it all forms together and becomes part of a nice happy family. Oh my God, Sean. So at the moment, this room smells of a interesting combination of lemon, cinnamon, and spring onion. So it's not a bad combination. It's just not a combination I would necessarily go, oh yes, I'll definitely put that in my cooking. Not that they're being put together anyway, but yeah, you know, somebody walking past the house might be like, what the fuck is going on in there? And that's fair. That's fair. Alright, so into that, how much flour am I adding? Okay, I am adding, cool. So into that, I want to add some ASATI because flavor. Unfortunately, it's not MSG. Yeah. So I'm just going to put a nice pinch and a bit of salt in there. As you guys would know from watching previous videos, I'm all about season everything so that you only have to season a small amount, and it allows the flavour to intensify once you apply the heat, as opposed to seasoning at the end, which always requires more salt and is less, it's not as good for you basically, you know, it can cause issues with sodium, etc. Which is why I was so against advocating eating the mac and cheese thing that I tried that had 730 milligrams of the shit. Okay, so I've done that. Into that as well, I want to add a little bit of pepper. So a little bit of cracked black pepper here, and I'm just going to do like so. Yes, is the technical term. Now, before we add the flour and the milk to this and mix it together, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my fry pan on our stovey thing, whatever it is, electric induction thingamajiggy. And into that, I'm going to take a bit of my rice bran oil.
Hey, how you doing?
Decent amount of oil. So if you are somebody who is, you know, trying to watch with the heat or whatever, maybe in this situation it's worth using an olive oil or something like that, and just cooking it at a little bit of a lower temperature a little bit longer. Now this is not something that you want to cook really fast anyway, because again, you need to cook both sides and there's a risk of burning if you have it too high, but you know, you obviously you don't want to cook it too low either, because then you're just going to end up with a nice outside that's being cooked, and then you're going to slice into the middle and it's just going to be like, bleh. Yes, that was my demonstration of a tortilla going bleh, which was really top-notch acting, and I'm hoping to get a call soon from Hollywood for that. Alright, so into that, wherefore art thou come? Therefore art thou come. Alright, so I am going to grab my flour. It is very much a little salt, Sean. If you'd like a demonstration of what a lot of salt looks like, go see our Prime Minister. That is a lot of salt. Making sure that I have actually achieved a cup of this before I go dumping it in. The previous bag didn't quite give me a cup, and no, she wasn't an old bag, it was just a bag. And then to that, I'm going to add my cup of milk. Now the reason that I always put the dry ingredients before I put the wet ingredients is because the wet ingredients help to loosen the dry ingredients that may get left behind in your measuring utensil. And that goes straight in like that. So again, I'm using oat milk for this, which means it's going to have a slightly different consistency, but I'd rather be putting something of a slightly different consistency in my mouth than it coming out the other end if I use, you know, cow's milk, etc., if you know what I mean. Probably too much information for the stream, but I shared with you now, so sorry. And then we're just going to literally make that come together. It's always important to come together if you can. I find it helps to steady the position of the relationship with one another. Listen to that ASMR. And I'm going to walk over to the other camera again, and we're going to give you a bit of a look at what this looks like. It doesn't look fantastic at this point. So it looks like a bit of running liquid with green and yellow bits of cheese in there. But trust me, once it's been cooked, it looks 10 times better than what it does at the moment. Right, now 2 seconds, I just need to check something over here. Okay, all good, got it on, fantastic. Alright, so my pan is well and truly heated, probably beyond what it needs to be, so I've dropped the temperature right down. We're just going to give that a couple of minutes to stop smoking, and I've already had the conversation with it and told him that smoking is bad. So hopefully it listens and betters itself in the future. So the best way to go about, or the best ways, should I say, to go about putting this tortilla mix into the pan is Get yourself a ladle or get yourself a jug. Either one works. I like to use a ladle because it allows me more control of the spread and I can do it bit by bit. However, you know, more than welcome to just put it in a small jug and do it like pancakes as well. You may end up with thicker tortillas if you go that route. Again, that's not a problem. The lower heat, maybe do the sides more than once if you need to give each side a rest. And you're just looking for a really nice golden colour on both sides that says that the flour has formed the dough, the cheese has become golden and melty and done the thing that cheese is meant to do when you apply heat to it, etc, etc. Alright, so that's looking much more normal. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to verbalise it before I do it so you guys can actually hear me, is I'm just going to utilise the ladle to pop it in, and then I'm going to move it around the pan as if it's a crepe, and you want it to cover the whole pan because you want a decent size. And then literally all we're going to do is we're just going to wait for it to cook. Whilst we wait for it to cook, I'm going to start preparing the chicken and the other ingredients for the filling. Leftover mix that you have, if you're in the situation I do, because there's only one of me, pop it in your fridge, use it at another point. Alright, so I'll just do a little bit more of a clean up here. I'll utilise that tomorrow for like breakfast or something. Might cook up some bacon and eggs and put it in and wrap it over, and that'll be mint breakfast. Okay, so that's going to take a while because I've got it on the lowest possible setting, and I also sort of deliberately did that because I obviously didn't use the induction cooker when I did the tests of these recipes. And as I was explaining, I'd rather do it slower and flip it a couple of times than obviously rushing it and causing a soggy middle and a extremely crispy outside. Some people like that, I'm just not one of them. So, what we're going to do now is we're going to prepare our chicken. So to do that, we're going to swap chopping boards so that we do not have a situation of cross-contamination. Whilst it is only me, I don't really feel like spending the next 3 days with potential salmonella. It's just a personal preference, each to their own. So, we have some chicken breasts, and what we're basically going to do is I'm going to take them out of the packaging. I'm going to run my knife down the middle of them, all the way through, and we're going to halve them. And then, once I've done that, I'm going to belt the crap out of them. Yes, you could say I'm going to beat my meat live on stream. I feel like this needs to be somewhere else other than YouTube with some of the things that go on. So, one of these breasts is a bit shit, so cheers, Woolies. That might be the one that we don't use for this evening's cook. I'll just obviously prepare it, and then I'll fridge it, and I'll use it in something else. Because if I now go and add a meat mallet to that, we're going to have nothing left. Oh, there's a tenderloin on that breast. That's not very useful. There's the reason I bought breasts without tenderloins on, but anyway. Surprise! You get tenderloin anyway. So even this, now that this breast has had the tenderloin removed, it is also quite small. So basically what I've gone and done is I've butterflied it instead of what I originally said I was going to do. And that's just called thinking on the fly, assessing the situation that's placed in front of you. So we've gone with the butterfly. We're still going to belt it out, but it just means that we're going to actually have a proper sized chicken breast as opposed to, yeah. So So just give me a sec, I'm just going to remove the salmonella from my hands. And we're just going to have a look at our tortilla. Yep, it hasn't even unstuck from the bottom yet, so down! How dare you do that right in front of me? Alright, so now we're going to beat our meat. I'm going to try and keep this as volumetric? No. Quiet. There's the word. Who'd have thought? As possible, because this will obviously get quite noisy, especially on these makeshift tables. I'm also going to beat these other small pieces just a little bit, and I will also cook them, and basically I will use them, as I said, tomorrow for breakfast or lunch. It's not very presentable, so it's not the one I'm obviously going to actually utilise as the demonstration for cook. So that's done. Yes, thank you, Sean. I will just have a quick look at my fuel.
Oh my god, leave it! Leave it! Leave it! Just fucking leave it!
Okay. So, now we're just going to get our spatchy spatch. I'm just going to have a quick look at the other side of the tortilla, start to unstick it in any positions it may be unstuck. If you do that again, I'm going to put you outside. This is raw meat. This is my dinner. You've already had your dinner and your snacks. A bit of respect, please, doggo. Don't. Alright, so that is flipped over because it is now looking absolutely steady. So, now what we're going to do, and I'm not sure how I'm going to actually achieve this so that you guys can see everything that I'm doing on the single camera, so you may need to also utilise the second camera at this point. But I'm going to set up 3 bowls for a canning station so that we can flour, egg wash, crumb, and then start cooking the chicken. But what I will do is I will show you guys how we're going to set up each of those stations. So I'm just going to move this chopping board so it's not obviously playing with the other one, and I'll make sure that I keep my raw chicken knife on the raw chicken chopping board. So, what I have here is 3 bowls. And I said bowls, not balls. Like so. And then into the first bowl, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of flour. Now, each of these stations you want to season with salt and pepper, because you've got to think you're taking unseasoned chicken, you're dipping it into flour, which is basically flavourless, you're dipping it into egg, which in the case of an egg wash is not exactly flavourless either, and then you're popping in breadcrumbs, which, unless you add seasoning, tastes of bread crumbs. Wow! Mind explosion. So, already washed my hands, Drew. Already washed my hands. Yeah, she needs to understand Aussie sentences. I talk to her a lot. So she's pretty good at understanding the general vibe of what I'm getting at. How am I washing hands? So off to the side behind those screens, I have a bucket of hot soapy water that I am just washing my hands in.
You know what I like to do to her? Something I call a dirty fuzzy.
And then I want to, into the next one, I want to put maybe 2 eggs or so. I think should be ample for what we're trying to achieve. There we go. Little tip, don't try and break an egg on a soft surface, it doesn't work. Like so. So obviously with the eggs we're going to need to whisk them because you don't want to go adding the milk to the eggs before you whisk them, because then you've got 2 completely different consistencies trying to amalgamate together, and it's just not, it just doesn't work as well. So I always find it's easier to do some whiskey business and then add your milk, and then you can simply just gently combine them. Right, so now to put my breadcrumbs. So these breadcrumbs already have a little bit of herbs in them, but nothing spectacular, so I will still season the breadcrumbs with the salt, the pepper, and I'm also going to put some semi-dried parsley leaves, and I'm going to put some garlic in, some garlic powder, that is, just for extra zhuzh and flavour. And well, everyone knows my relationship with garlic is very strong. Me and garlic, we get along well. So a bit of pepper into there. And whilst I'm doing the pepper, I'm going to pepper the eggs. Not with bullets, just with black pepper. And I'm going to pepper my flour dredge as well. Don't need to think about it. Correct, Sean. Correct. Always go off of the feel as a chef and the look and what our tongue tells us. Alright, so parsley and garlic powder have been added to the breadcrumbs. Then I'm going to season the breadcrumbs, season the egg, and season the flour. And at this point, I want to very quickly get those eggs whisked up, because the minute you add salt to eggs, you start to cook them. So by doing this, you're helping to slow that process down, and then you will basically stop that process once you add the milk. Yep. And then just gently combine that together. Something's in my eye other than an eyeball. And that is done. Now obviously we're not going to use the whisk that we just used for raw egg for the other 2 items. Mainly because it'll just stick together. And then I'm just going to use a fork, and I'm going to fork the flour. Fork the flour, not anything else. Don't get any ideas. We're just forking the flour. So just make sure that the salt and the pepper has arrived at the same destination. And that destination is Flavor Town. So usually when you're making that tortilla,
What I like to do to her?
use
Something I call a dirty
Paraguayan
fuzzy.
queso. Surprise, surprise, you can't get Paraguayan queso in lactose free. Who'd have thought? So that's why I just proceeded to use what I did. Yeah, well, after Jamie Oliver did what he did to fried rice, like Devo, I don't trust him or any of his recipes. He's got a lot of redeeming to achieve. Alright, so even though my chopping board's actually on the wrong side at this point, due to space constraints I can't move around, so we're going to work in a very weird motion.
Dismissed.
Here. But what I want to do is I want to have a plate. If you get under my feet and I don't know you're there, I'm going to accidentally stand on you. Maybe this is a lesson for you. Hey? Sometimes we have to learn lessons the hard way. Alright, so we're going to go with the chicken into the flour. Make sure that it is all coated on both sides. Shake off any excess and then into the egg, and you want to use a different hand so that you don't end up with PVA glue. And then you want to drain off any excess egg wash, and you want to go straight into your crumbs. Again, making sure that both sides are wonderfully coated. So, then I'll just quickly do these smaller pieces that I have as well. However, I won't obviously cook those today. I'll keep them in my fridge for a rainy day, even though it's currently raining. Fucking hell, David. Now, because I turned the heat down so low on the tortilla, as you can tell, I'm not very concerned about where it is. I do keep looking over at it. It is close. And I am going to, as soon as I finish doing this chicken, I am going to take a look at it. It's definitely looking like a tortilla should. Another thing I should probably do is drink some water. And last piece. Alright. And I may, tomorrow as well, I may cook some of that chicken for Doggo to enjoy as well. Jesus Christ, David. Ozzy, if David is getting too sexual, you can obviously time him out if you need to there, mate. Mind you, you probably enjoy it. Alright, so let's have a look. Yeah, so it still needs more time on both sides. But that's a good thing, because it means that we still have time to do things whilst we wait for that to finish. So I'll make my pile of bowls. There is going to be a little bit of wastage of flour and egg. The best advice I can give you with your leftovers, but you have to follow this advice to the letter, is as soon as you finish crumbing your chicken, put your flour and put your egg wash in a fridge. And then the next day or that day, you want to use that flour to season something else, and it's got to be something that you're going to be cooking to above 75 degrees Celsius. And the egg, same thing. You can use that to make an omelette, but you need to cook it to to a degree where it's going to kill any of the chicken bacteria that may have occurred. If this is something that concerns you or you feel out of your depth doing, just get rid of that small amount of leftover food. We're only talking about maybe 10 or 20 cents worth in the end. I'm just very much into making sure that everything goes that extra mile, and I'm just literally informing you in what I would do when I dredge something, etc. with any leftover ingredients. I use it as soon as I possibly can and make sure that I'm extremely careful with the temperatures and stuff. Obviously, in a commercial kitchen, once you're done, bin. Don't even mess with that shit. This is literally just in a home premises, and I'm only giving you this information if you feel confident enough to know that what you are doing is achieving the correct temperatures. And I want to stress that, because if you don't achieve correct temperatures, you risk food poisoning yourself, and it is not worth it. So, only if you know what you're doing, that is something you can do, and you only have about 12 to 24 hours, and then I will put it in the bin anyway. And you need to make sure that you are not using that flour for anything but chicken, because you've already had chicken in there. You do not want to be putting other ingredients in that flour. The breadcrumbs, there is nothing really that you can use them for in the bin. Alright. Now, I want to take my piece of chicken and I want to drop it in the fryer. Now, what I've noticed along these cooking on the flies is there is a lot of deep frying going on in them. I want to make it very clear, I don't usually cook by deep frying. But in South America, meat on the grill and things in the fryer seems to be a thing. I think it's also a thing in Central America. So, for the next few cooking on the flies, there's going to be a lot of deep frying and stuff involved. I just wanted to put that out there as well. This is not something that I do commonly, and I obviously don't advocate eating deep fried food on a regular basis for health reasons. So, to avoid any more issues now that this is crumbed, and obviously that is hot, I always find it is good to use a pair of tongs to complete this next step. And this next step is as simple as placing the chicken into there. Now I'm going to cook a very small extra piece, and that's the doggo. The only thing is though, that piece is going to be drained for a significantly long period of time after it comes out of there, because obviously I don't want to feed her directly deep fried food that hasn't had a chance for all the extra oil and fat to seep out, because it's not healthy for the dog. Right. So my deep fryer is set at 170 degrees. Anywhere from 160 to 180 would be perfect for this. Obviously the chicken is quite thin, so you don't need to be too concerned about making sure that it's going to be cooked all the way through. But obviously you should still be checking stuff like that. The other reason between 160 and 180 is because you don't want to burn the breadcrumbs and stuff on the outside before the chicken on the inside is cooked. Now if you've got the correct meat beating technique completed, wow, that was a sentence and a half, and you've crumbed it well and your fryer is at a correct temperature, you should have no issues. But again, we're dealing with chicken here. We need to make sure that the internal temperature is, well, you see, chicken can be very, you know, if you're cooking chicken quickly, you can, but using like hang on, let me try rephrasing that again. Basically, you can cook chicken at less than 60 degrees if you cook it for a long time. So, say you're using a sous vide machine and you want to make sous vide chicken, you can cook that at 63 degrees or 60 degrees, but you need to cook it at that temperature for 24 hours. Because it is the prolonged high temperature that kills the bacteria. In a situation like this where we're deep frying, we're going for a high temperature really fast. So we want to be going up into that 70, 75 degree range. Okay? And that is simply just so we quickly kill any potential bacteria that may be in there and make it safe to eat. Now, because we are deep frying it, even though you're going so high in the temperature, you're not looking at overcooked chicken because it's sort of steaming and being kept moist within the, yes. What is the black hook thing? Are you talking about that up there? Or are you talking this here? Alright, so our tortilla is ready. I'm just going to place it out of the pan so that it stops cooking. I'm just going to pop the pan back on the heat thing for the moment, just to obviously not put a hot pan on a plastic table. Above second behind me. What's this? I think it's just a cobweb that's appeared today, and it appears to have like some dust or charcoal in it, probably because I've barbecued in this room before and it was probably in the air. But that's all, it's just a cobweb. It's not above the cooking, it's, even though it may look like it, it's actually quite a long way. Like, as you can see, I'm still not touching it. I'm also almost touching the wall. Oh, okay. I definitely needed a drink of water. That was quite liberating. Alright, so whilst the chicken is cooking away, I'm going to bring back our grey chopping board. And on this grey chopping board, I'm going to put our salad stuff. So, I will be able to prep the tomato and the cucumber, and then I will just need to quickly go and rinse the radish and the lettuce leaves. Oh, it's not a, yeah, Black Eva, I've already removed the tortilla. It's here. I'm fingering it right now. Alright, so I'm going to slice 3 or 4 nice pieces of tomato. Like so. And then I'm going to lay them out on my chopping board. And then I'm going to do probably about 7 very thin pieces of cucumber. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to lay it out on the chopping board, end to end to end. I'll show you on the chopping board on the second camera in a sec what I'm referring to. Whilst I leave the room to just rinse these lettuce leaves and this radish, I am going to take the dog with me, but I've lifted the item out of the fryer just for safety. So I'm going to take 2 pieces of cos lettuce hearts with me, just quickly inside, because I forgot to set up a clean cold water container as well as my hot water washing container. And I'm going to take my radish as well, which I'm just going to quickly top and tail before I take it in. And what that also means is while I'm gone, that chicken's going to get an opportunity to rest. It's going to cook through a little bit further without the utilisation of the deep fryer. It's going to allow some of the oil to drain. It also means the exterior is going to get a bit colder, which means when I drop it down for the second cook, we're going to have a more crispy exterior. Back in a moment. Come with me, start. Come on. Away from the fryer. So it's in your best interest to behave, little one. Alright, so we are back. Now, what I'm going to do with my cos lettuce is I'm going to take out the white part in the middle. It started to go a little bit brown and meh. And then in the same way that I did with the tomato and the cucumber, I'm going to just lay it out nicely on my chopping board. Hey, what you barking at? What you barking at? And then, again, about 5 to 7 pieces of very finely sliced radish as well. Like so. And then I will walk this chopping board over to the other camera. And the reason I do this is because it makes it easy to pick up the ingredients to build your layers when you're making the sandwich. It also makes it easy to season, because we're going to season each one of these items just with a small amount of salt, just to bring out the flavour and, you know, etc. So I re-drop the chicken for its second time round. I'm going to wander over to the camera now and show you guys my lovely artwork. So as you can see, beautifully just spread out. And then I'm just going to take a very, very small pinch of salt, and I'm just going to wave it in the general direction of all these items. And that's that. Now, at this point is where you would also put your potatoes in with the chicken, so I'm going to do that as well. You can use potatoes, which you would slice and then you would cook. High five! For the simplicity's sake of the stream, I'm just going to, like I did in the preview, use some chips. So, come with me. and just like a half a handful in with the chicken. They take less time to cook. You're cooking them straight from frozen, so they're going to get a beautiful golden exterior. Now, what we're literally going to do is we're going to bring a plate here. We're going to put the tortilla on the plate. So we're going to take it from the chopping board, pop it on the plate. And then I'm literally just going to build our ingredients. So, I'm going to start with our lettuce. We want to keep half of the tortilla free because now we're fusioning two ideas together. This tortilla is definitely very much a thing from Paraguay. This chicken is an Italian thing actually that the Paraguayans adopted as something of their own that they've altered and made to suit, you know, what they're looking for, etc., etc. What we're going to do is we're going to pop it into the tortilla and create almost like a soft taco style thing. So then on top of that, I'm going to put my cucumber and I'm going to put my radish, and the reason for that is because you can put them in a line next to each other in the amount of lettuce that is there, and the tomato is significantly wider. Have I done chips every cooking on the fly? Almost. No, I didn't do it on the previous one where we did the soup, the party steak soup thing that we did, although I did do the sopapilla, which was deep fried. And of course I did put chips in the Argentine Lomito because that calls for chips in the sandwich. This calls for deep fried potatoes in the sandwich. So I think you're starting to see a trend here in South America that they like their grilled meat, they like their smoked meat, they like their deep fried items. Okay, that's awesome. So, at this point, I'm now going to grab my other small plate. This is a fresh one that has had no raw chicken on it. And onto that plate, I'm going to place some paper towel. Okay? Now, get my other tongs that haven't done with the raw chicken. I'm going to remove the chicken from the fryer. I'm going to place it on this plate. Now, I'm going to re-drop the chips just to finish them off. And that means that the chips also get that secondary cook, even though they technically don't need it because they've already been cooked prior to being in the freezer. And then I'm simply just going to season the chicken whilst it's hot to make sure that that flavour penetrates deep in through the use of the pot oil. Smells so good, so good. Yeah, I do need to hire a kitchen hand soon. I should probably get my sister in on this, but she may find that the stream time is too late. So now I'm just going to help the chicken for star A, cool down, and B, lose more oil. I've just chopped it up into some smaller pieces, and now I'm going to put those smaller pieces back onto the paper towel. And then hopefully in a couple of minutes I can feed them to her, which she'll be very happy about, even though she's currently destroying bugs and then consuming them. I don't even want to know what it's like in this case. And then simply all we'll have to do at this point is we just need to make our cocktail, and that is super, super simple. Super simple. Just reading what was up above in the chat that I missed about Blackito talking about how he went to the gym today because he was with the kids. Fair call. Yeah, fair call, mate. Alright, so chips are out. We going to put them in this small bowl. And that's going to allow me to season them, toss them. And then as soon as I've done that, I'm going to pop them onto the paper towel to drain any excess oil as well. It's just important to make sure that you season when it's hot, and trying to season chips that are spread out on the plate is not as easy as popping into the bowl and toss, 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 and done. What the fuck has happened to the weather in the flight? It's gone to absolute shit. Oh, for God's sake, Dave. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to slice my chicken up into 3 pieces. Now you don't have to do this, it's just something I decided to do after eating the test one. It just allows you to put the chicken in a much more easier fashion, basically. Okay, doggo. And then you just literally want to balance the chips on top of the chicken. Cooked a few too many, but that's okay. And then do your best to fold it over, and it doesn't quite fold over because it is pretty filled. And then I'll just take it up towards there we go. So that is our Tortilla Paraguaya that is then filled with Chicken Milanesa and then served with traditional ingredients that would be served on the side of a Chicken Milanesa in Paraguay, at least according to the internet research that I did. Alright, so now I'm just going to move everything off to the side, and we're going to smash together the cocktail. So, if you've got a cocktail shaker, use that. I don't. So what I'm going to do is use a blender and scales. Try it on off so we don't cause a power short. Underneath our jug, and so that we can make sure that all things are weighed out correctly. Now, this is a very strong cocktail in terms of the amount of alcohol to the rest of the ingredients. So, keep that in mind when making it and adjust accordingly for your taste preferences. So let me just make sure that I am going to 100% get the numbers right, and I am. So, going to the alcohol cupboard. And I'm going to bring out our dead man's fingers. So, so we're going to add 180 mils of rum. Go. No, I didn't stutter. 180 mils. It is a triple shot. So this is 2 portions. So it is a triple shot. I'm going to tear that. And then to that, I need to grab, where is it? Here, there we go. So, got my pineapple juice. And I'm going to add, so I'm going to add 60 mils of pineapple juice. I know it seems crazy that there's less pineapple juice than there is alcohol. Go. That's in there like that. Tear it again. And then I'm just checking every single one of these steps because I don't want to obviously mess it up because I have already tried this cocktail and it is delicious as it is. So yeah, I know, Dave. 180 mils. It's pretty hectic, isn't it? All right, so I then want to squeeze in so 60 mils of lime juice as well. It is 60 mils. I was a little bit concerned by that, but it is 60 mils. So probably going to take 2 or so limes to get 60 mils of lime juice, possibly more. So just do keep that in mind when making it. That you might need 2 or 3 limes, especially if you're making a double batch. No, 360 mils for 4, Sean, for 4. Probably sounds very suspect on stream what I'm doing. Alright, so that took 3 small limes to get 65 mils of lime juice. So that gives you an idea. And they were pretty juicy limes as well, I must say. Okay, so to that, I want to be putting 30 grams of sugar into that. If you don't want to use 30 grams of sugar, can I suggest putting in some more pineapple juice? Actually, no, 60 grams of sugar because it's basically I've doubled whatever I've written down here because when I made it in the tester, I barely got a glass of it. So 60 grams of sugar. So even more important, if you're not into a large amount of sugar consumption, please, 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 please use something else. Sweeteners, stevia, monk fruit sugar. That's something I use all the time. Is monk fruit sweetener. That stuff it tastes exactly like sugar. Or pineapple juice. Use extra pineapple juice and less sugar. Like balance it out. Use an extra 40 mils of pineapple juice. Only put 20 grams or 25 grams of sugar in. I'm obviously just following the recipe that I wrote, but the awesome thing about all recipes that I write is they are very, 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 very flexible. Yeah, I know, Sean, 60 grams is a lot. Luckily, I don't really do much with sugar other than the occasional Tim Tams or, you know, a chocolate bar or stuff like that. Other than that, I tend to not really dabble in sugar. You know, when I make my coffee, I use monk fruit. When I make cakes, I use monk fruit. When I, you know, basically when I do anything else with sugar, I use monk fruit. But I do have sugar for obviously doing these sorts of recipes and stuff like that. Hell yeah, I'd be down to see that recipe, Black Eva. I've already got to make Garwin's waffles that he sent me, the waffle recipe he sent me as well. I'm going to have a bloody good time making some fantastic recipes. That is for sure. Alright, so, focus back on what I'm doing. So, it says, well, my recipe says vanilla. So, at first I was like, oh yeah, you know, I'll take the vanilla extract I've got in the pantry, I'll use that. In case anybody hasn't worked out what I'm currently doing, I'm not using vanilla extract. What I'm going to do instead is use 2 Madagascan vanilla beans. Just because I have them in my fridge, so why not? And then split them down. Use the knife to scrape out the beans. I want to make it clear that I didn't buy these beans. They were given to me by an old chef friend who happened to come across them, doesn't like the taste of vanilla, tried using them at home, couldn't, knew I liked vanilla flavoured things, gave them to me. I was like, holy shit, like these things are expensive, how much money do you want? And he's like, just take them. I have no use for them, just take them. So, just want to put it out there. I could not and would not be able to afford that many Madagascan vanilla. Brett, no worries, mate. You look after yourself, good sir. And I'm sure I'll chat to you soon. Alright, where am I at? So, to this, I want... Oh, that's what I forgot to grab. Restart. Alright, so for each amount as such, you want to add 150 mils of soda water. So, in this case, we want to add 300 mils of soda water. Or, for the Americans, club soda. Sounds like a fucking underage nightclub to me. Where'd you go on Friday night? Oh, I went to Club Soda. And then to that, I just want to add a nice handful of mint and a nice handful of coriander. And then we want to go with a bit of ice. Obviously, if you're somebody who has the gene that makes coriander taste like soap, please do not put coriander in. You can substitute it with a small amount of parsley or a basil or something like that. Obviously, back it back a little bit because you're trying to not change the flavour of the cocktail, or just put more mint and completely avoid adding the coriander at all. Right, that. Just going to make sure 100% against my thingo that I have not missed anything. And I haven't. So, I'm going to go grab a handful of ice, I'm going to pop it in, we're going to stick it on the blender, we're going to zhuzh it up, we're going to strain it into the cup, and then I'm going to do my usual quick 10 or 15 minute cleanup and hopefully come back in time to eat and land. So, trying to keep you happy, Papa, with extra food. Ice isn't good for you? Yeah, not that type of ice, Dave. Calm down. And that's all you need, just a quick pulse for like 10 or 15 seconds. Yeah, those high amounts of dihydrogen monoxide, Garwin, you've got to be really careful about them, hey? Where did I... Oh, it's in the open my eyes section. Never mind, everybody just stop looking. It's all good, I found it. And then, take your jugs. And I get the feeling this is going to go horribly wrong. I picked the wrong strainer for the size of glass that I have. And then I'm just going to use a spoon to make sure that all the liquid goes through to where it's meant to go. And then I'm going to place said spoon and said strainer on the top of the jug because there's still liquid left in there. There we go. One dark rum Cana. I wonder how fucking strong this is. Okay, the concerning thing about that is it doesn't actually taste like alcohol at all. Okay. That tastes like juice. That's dangerous. Because for something that's got that amount of dark rum in there, it tastes like juice. Yeah. Alright, so, ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of the cooking demonstration. So, what's going to happen now is I'm going to do a quick clean up, put the things in the fridge that need to go in the fridge, obviously sort out, I probably won't bother sorting out the dishwasher because things are progressing a little bit faster in this cooking on the fly than they would previously, so I'll sort that out at the end of the stream. So basically, I should be 10 minutes or so, I think, something like that, and then I'll come back, I'll obviously eat, drink my cocktail, and we will also go and inspect how the custard, the cinnamon custard, is going with setting as well, so that you guys can also see that on the stream before it leaves as well. But see you guys soon.
It isn't hard to tell what you were thinking, babe. Your thoughts are inside a fake reality. Better days will never come for me. Trapped inside a fake reality. Better days will never come for me. How can I be honest with myself when I'm always playing someone else? You cannot seem to get to me. I am back with a stolen identity. You know I see you in me fade. I'm the one that love me with bitter sting. You give me no reasons, broken to pieces. There's no one can
Hello?
Alright, we have returned, and I'll just punch the microphone for good measure to let you know that we've returned. That is a delicious cocktail, and an extremely dangerous cocktail as well. Right, so the good news is we can see the ground again. The weather is nice. Good though. Right, now I've got to try and, as daintily and as delicately as possible, try and consume this tortilla with chicken. I get the feeling this is not going to be dainty or... Thank you very much, Sean. Legend. Absolute legend. Good. Good mix of flavours. Freshness, saltiness. Absolutely I can, Wes. If you replay the stream, I'll make it again for you. Amazingly. Because of the tortilla, I may go as far as to say that's better than the Argentine Lamito steak sandwich that we made. It's a better balance of flavours across the board. The Lamito was delicious, but it was very much full on with the umami and the saltiness and all that. This has got a nice balance of everything. Pepperiness of radishes, the lettuce and parsley around the chicken, and the tomato cuts through with freshness. And then you've got the cheese, which gives the umami. Waiting on your Uber Eats to arrive with it. Where's you going to be waiting a while? It's a long Uber Eats journey. I need to pop up on bed. Yeah, winner chicken dinner. Exactly. Yum. Yum, 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 yum. Yummy. Ooh. Oh shit. It's falling apart on me. Already. I've only taken like 3 bites and already it's falling apart. The unfortunate thing is, Wes, I'm not the Uber driver. Sean, I would love to work on some merch But I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't even know where to start. I know where to start with mugs and coffee cups. I don't know where to go from there. Like, I know what I want to do. T-shirts and kitchen utensils and all sorts of cool stuff like that. But, yeah. I don't know how to get that part actually occurring. So if somebody does, and they want to hit me up in the Discord, even if it's in chat or whatever, and they've got some connections, or they know somebody, or they know how to go about it, or they want to assist, I'm all ears, because I want to do cooking on the fly and channel merch. As I said, I can bring out coffee cups, no problem. I know coffee cups, but beyond coffee cups, I don't. No worries, GC Bounds, mate. Cheers for popping in. Much appreciated, good sir. The biggest problem I've got is I need a company or a person who knows how to design. Because if you've ever seen me draw, unless you want stick figures, I'm not the person to do the designing. Chopping boards, yeah, okay. What sort of chopping boards though? Because, as you can imagine, the chef in me, if I'm going to sell chopping boards, I want to sell semi-decent chopping boards. Oh, okay. Yeah. Talk to me in Discord. Tomorrow or something about it, Wes. Sorry I'm not talking much right now, this is just really, really good. So I'm just absolutely smashing it. Wow, we're already over ASUNCION in Paraguay. I thought we might have been because the ground below us changed to homes and stuff like that. Yeah, there we go. Capital city of Paraguay below us. Has it fixed itself, Mr. Pigeon, or? Is it still being a bit of a, see you next Tuesday? Everyone's just going with the currency. Star is literally sticking her face on my lap right now from under the desk, giving me the eyes of, I'm such a poor, unfed puppy dog. Can you share some of your food with me, please, sir? Even though I proceeded to feed her about 500 things during the stream whilst I was cooking. No. You've already had dinner and chicken and a couple of chips and microbones and kangaroo jerky in the last 6 hours. I think time to cut you off, young man. Otherwise you're going to get food drunk. And the top hours command still doesn't work. Go figure. Don't know why that is. It's literally right there. The box is ticked. I can look and see who's got top hours, but for some reason the bot refuses to show it to you. Who knows? Oh, Sean's literally just behind me there.
Disaster!
You're desperate. The little tiny crumbs and bits of oil off of my hands that I've popped on the pants because the pants are already ruined after the cook. She's literally licking my pants to try and get the taste of the oil. Not a problem, Kangaroo, mate. Thank you very much for coming along. Much appreciated. Have a good one, good sir. How's the food? Delicious. So delicious. I'm literally spending less time talking and more time eating. It is so good, Tony. The perfect mix of crunch and salt and freshness and softness, umami from the cheese. Yeah, don't worry, I'll get the dessert out before I end the stream. Part of the other reason why cocktail's fantastic, Tony. Absolutely awesome. Hasn't hit me yet, probably because I've just absolutely loaded my stomach full of carbs. Yeah, Darren. It's a jaw workout, this thing, though. Agreed. However, I would like to keep that sort of merch for Patreon members / YouTube members. So, I'm still working on the Patreon behind the scenes. But seeing as the Patreons are going to be what most people are ranked as at the moment in the bot, they're going to be the various levels, you know, the legends, etc., all the way up to the legends of the highest regard, hence the introduction at the start of the stream. I would like to, yeah, keep that merch for Patreon. And the good news is that once I get the Patreon going, I can have Patreon merch, because Patreon does the merch for you if you select that option. Alright, we must be very close to coming round for landing here. As soon as we make this turn for final, I'll jump into the cockpit and all that, turn off the autopilot, actually do some flying. There we go. Oh no, maybe not yet. A bit premature. Not looking at the chat for a minute or so whilst I just watch what's occurring, a little nav map, because obviously with this terrible weather I just want to make sure that nothing is awry and everything is happening in the way it's meant to, and it does appear that that is occurring. There's no food for you. I've already had so much. I'm a bit. Come on. It's 10 past 1 in the morning. Bedtime. So give me those eyes. Bedtime. Sometimes I feel like I'm probably a bit too good to you because you like to take advantage of it. In situations like this, trying the whole, but look at my eyes, I'm such a poor puppy dog, sir. I'm not buying it. You might think I'm buying it, but I ain't buying it. No, you can't fly the aircraft. She just put her hand on the joystick, or her paws, should I say. You can't fly the aircraft. You're not skilled enough. Actually, you might be if I taught you, but currently you're not skilled enough, so I need you to get down. I need you to get on your bed, because it's bedtime. Okay? In your bed. In your bed. I'm only going to ask nicely another couple more times, and then I'm going to do more firm. In your bed. Good girl. No. In your bed. Okay, that'll do. On the concrete then, sure. I would pick a nice, plush, soft dog bed, but if you want to lay on the concrete, sure. Yeah, she is Blackadder. She's sort of looking at me the whole time like, can I try as well? I never turned on virtual flight. Yes, I did. It must have dropped out. Yeah, no, it said disconnected from simulator. So it's dropped out mid-flight. Or early on, even possibly. Alright, so we're going to off the autopilot and we're going to take manual control. Start. And let's see if we can land this in this wonderful visibility that we have. Yeah, it is good, Wes, and the good news is you don't have to have 1,000 subscribers to make it a thing either. Yes, Star, the reason you're having to shake the water off you is because you keep going out into torrential rain. If you didn't go out into the torrential rain, you wouldn't need to shake the water off you. Who sings this? I'll have a look. Well Mess and Divty, I'm a Hurricane. I'll pop it in the chat once I've landed. But Well Mess, WELLMESS, featuring Divty, DIVTY, I'm a Hurricane. Yeah, I mean, Wes, I look at Patreon as an opportunity for people to donate less and still be able to support things like cooking on the fly, and also have, you know, specific parts of the Discord that are dedicated to them, So later on in cooking on the fly, when we get to smaller countries where the countries are, you know, really close to each other, I'm not going to be able to do like 3 or 4 cooking on the flies a week. So, you know, I'm thinking for Patreon members that they will get access at latter points to private live stream cooking videos of the countries that I wasn't able to do cooking on the fly for. Stuff like that kind of thing. That's how I look at, and of course the merchandise thing as well. You know, allowing those who want merch, especially Legends merch. I don't look at it as a way to make money. It's a way to cover costs, basically, and allow people to have benefits or more benefits to having the costs covered. Looks like I fly pretty good with a cocktail under my belt. I'm a little bit high on approach, but other than that, looking pretty good. Speed's good. Approach angle is not terrible in any way, shape or form. Alright, so we're going to taxi it up into the terminal here, and then I'm going to go to the fridge and grab out the custards, or a custard should I say, and we'll have a taste test of that, and then that brings us to the end of Cooking on the Fly 5. So the next Cooking on the Fly is obviously going to be Cooking on the Fly 6. Wow, you know, like, I can count. And that will be Bolivia, I believe. In fact, I don't believe, I know it will be Bolivia. Counting with Bryce. 1, 2, 3, Geez, I thought arriving here in Asunción that we would have, you know, sort of vibes of a major city. Well, not really getting those vibes. It's pretty small city, obviously. All right, brakes on. Going to go and grab one of those custards now. Alright. So, I mean, other than the bug that just committed suicide in it, alright, let's have a taste live on stream. So, Paraguayan cinnamon infused custard. That's really good. It's lemony. It's so lemony and so cinnamony. That is so good. Holy shit. Excuse me whilst I just... But damn. Okay. That's really, really good. So I am not going to be able to get the drone out before barfing gopher lands. So I do apologise for that, good sir. But, ladies and gentlemen, legends of the highest regard, welcome to ASUNCION in Paraguay. Probably one of the smallest cities, like proper cities, that we've been to. Yeah, Paraguay for the food win. Exactly, Black Hildo. Exactly, seeing as I'm eating a custard. But, ladies and gentlemen, legends of the highest regard and bunch of the dirtiest slews I ever knew, that does bring us to the end of Cooking on the Fly number 5 here in Paraguay. So massive shout out to all of you for joining me this evening and putting up with a few teething issues that resulted in a slight delay to the stream, and Australia Post didn't deliver my stream deck like they promised. So unfortunately I wasn't able to continuously switch between the cameras and stuff like I wanted to, but it just means things that I can work on for the next stream is getting the rest of the cameras to work and things like that, getting it more streamlined. But until next time, oh, and also massive shout out to all of you who did drop donations. It does not go unnoticed, and your extra support goes well and truly above and beyond anything I could ever hope for, so thank you very much for that. Keeping in mind that obviously 25% of your donations will go to the Movember Men's Mental Health Foundation. Flightman100 says, a YouTuber that is actually able to come up with something unique for once. I can't take all credit, Flightman100, but I will take obviously credit for implementing suggestions that were made to me. But everyone, thank you so much for coming along. Wherever you are in the world, you look after yourselves, you stay safe, you stay well, you don't do anyone that I wouldn't do. And I'll probably see you Tuesday night for the next flight stream, but I'll sort all that out tomorrow because I'm not streaming. Until then, legends, catch you later. Cheers and adios, amigos.